In Parashat BEHALOTCHA, it says in the pasuk, "Vayasu et Pesach barishon ba'arba asar yom lachodesh." This is the second year now since they came out of Egypt. They did the Pesach on the 14th. They prepared the Korban Pesach, the proper time, and then it says, "Vayu anashim ashaya tamei lever." There were some people there that were tamei, impure. There's a dispute in the Gemara what they were impure with. The general opinion is they were tamei because they were the ones that carried Yosef's coffin, and therefore Yosef's coffin gave off impurity, and that's why they were impure, and they were unable to purify themselves in time to bring the Korban Pesach. And they came to Moshe Rabbeinu and they said, "Vayomru ha'anashim ha'hema." And they said to Moshe, "Anachnu tmeim lanefesh adam, lama nigar levilti hakrivet korban Hashem b'moado." Says, we were tamei at the time. Lama nigara, why should we lose out that we are not able to bring the korban of Hashem b'moado in the proper time? And Moshe Rabbeinu says, you know what? It's a good point. Let me hear what Hashem says. Of course, Moshe goes to Hashem, and Hashem says back, you know what? Those people that were like anus, that they were not able to bring the korban Pesach in the primary time, we'll give them a makeup. Moed bet, literally, right? In Bagrut, you have Moed Aleph, you have Moed bet. Literally Moed bet. Moed bet is the next month. Yud Dal, the 14th of Iyar, is the time that you could bring. So it's interesting that Rashi brings down, that Moshe Rabbeinu says to them, when they said, Lama Nigara, why should we not be able to bring? So Rashi brings down, Amalem Moshe said back to them, Ein Kodshim Kravim B'tumah. What can I do for you? You know, the halacha is that if the Jewish people, the majority of the Jewish people are pure, so then the minority who are impure are not allowed to bring a korban. What do you want? There's nothing I can do for you. That's what Moshe Rabbeinu should have said. I mean, Moshe Rabbeinu did tell them, you can't bring, you're not eligible because you're tamei. But then that's it. Why did Moshe then say to them, stand here, let me see what Hashem has to say? What do you mean, let me see what Hashem has to say? They asked him a question, he gave them an answer. They asked, why can't we bring the korban? He says, because that's one of the basic laws of korbanot, is that you can't bring it if you're tamei. End of story. So what is Moshe Rabbeinu now taking back? It sounds like he closed the argument. What's he bringing to HaKadosh Baruch Hu right now? So obviously the answer must be that they didn't back down. I mean, they asked Moshe Rabbeinu, why are we to lose out? And Moshe says, what can I do for you? You know, I'm very sorry. You're tamei, you can't bring the korban. Not only that, it's not that you were tamei because you were messing around or anything. You were engaged in a holy activity. You were dealing with Yosef's body. Whatever the reason was in the Gemara, but that they were tamei. But they were tamei for a good reason. Moshe says you can't bring the korban. So then what happened? So it must be that they said again to Moshe Rabbeinu, about lama nigara. But still, why should we lose out? It's not fair. Now, this is actually a healthy change because we know actually in Bamidbar is full of episode after episode after episode of the Jews complaining and complaining, right? Why is there not enough food and there's not water and there's this and there's that? Usually when they complain, it's a negative type of complaint. Over here, this is a complaint that actually brought a new mitzvah called Pesach Sheni. It's an amazing thing. This was actually a good complaint. When is a complaint a good complaint? When is a complaint a bad complaint? When you're complaining over gashmius, over materialism, there's not enough water and there's not enough food, or there's food but it's not watermelon and it's not this type of steak, it's not this type of hamburger. That's considered a complaint that HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't care for. But when the complaint is, why can't we do the mitzvah? Oh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that's a good complaint. And what did they say? They say to Moshe Rabbeinu, why can't we do the mitzvah? He says, because you're tamei. They said, but still, why can't we do the mitzvah? What do you mean, why can't you? Because you're tamei. I just told you that. What happened? The idea is that they had such a strong desire to bring the Korban Pesach, and even though there's nothing nothing could be done, and therefore in that case they're exempt from the mitzvah, right? If you're an onus and you're put in the mitzvah, it's not like a HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to fault you or anything. You can't be faulted if you're patur in the mitzvahs. It's like lahavdil. A person is an oinen and he's patur in mitzvahs. So he didn't put on tefillin. He didn't make brachas. He didn't daven. Does he have to feel bad that he didn't daven, that he didn't put on tefillin, that he didn't do mitzvahs? He doesn't have to feel bad about it. He was patur. He was exempt from it. He's an oinen. The whole idea of an oinen is that you're involved in this. You're exempt from that. So over here, they were involved in a tremendous mitzvah of taking care of Yosef, Hatzadik. But yet, and therefore there was no reason for them to feel bad. They were exempt. It's like a chassan on his wedding. He's on his wedding day. He's patur in Kriyat Shema. Does he have to feel bad that he's patur in Kriyat Shema? No, he's patur in Kriyat Shema. He's exempt. There's no mitzvah. However, they said, okay, there might not be a mitzvah, but you know what? But we have such a strong desire to bring the Korban Pesach, to get close to Hashem through Korban Pesach. We don't want to miss out. HaKadosh Baruch Hu saw. Moshe Rabbeinu obviously saw. If Moshe Rabbeinu didn't see anything wondrous in that complaint, he wouldn't have taken it to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He would have said, I already answered you. Obviously, he saw there was such a deep desire by the Jewish people to bring the Korban Pesach, even though they were exempt. Moshe Rabbeinu says, you know what? Maybe Hashem will do something for these people. He sees that they want to do it anyway. They so desperately want to do the mitzvah. When a Jew is exempted from a mitzvah, so there's two reactions you could have. Lahavdil, let's talk about, because we started Tachanun again today, so we can talk about Tachanun, right? When today was the first day we started Tachanun after 2 weeks break. And not only that, we started with Monday Tachanun, extra long. How many of us felt, oi, now we got to go back to saying all this whole long-winded Tachanun thing. And a week before, when Rosh Chodesh Sivan came, and we knew that for 2 weeks we'd be exempt from Tachanun, how many of us were happy? We said, oh, Baruch Hashem, we don't have to say Tachanun for the next 2 weeks. That's regular human nature, but the Jewish people, when they heard that they were exempt from Korban Pesach, they felt bad about it. Yeah, we're exempt, but we feel bad about it. It's like, okay, we're exempt from Tachanun, but we feel bad. We want to say Tachanun. We feel like we're missing out. We feel like we're not able to get close to Hashem because we can't say Tachanun. They said, we can't get close to Hashem if we can't bring Korban Pesach. When Moshe saw that level of sincerity, he said, you know what? I can't answer this. I can't paskin this. I can't rule on this case. He brought it to Hashem, and Hashem says, you know what? Let's give them a makeup mitzvah. It's unheard of. It's revolutionary in the Torah that HaKadosh Baruch Hu should give a moyed bet, a second chance to do a mitzvah that you're exempt in anyway. But why is that? HaKadosh Baruch Hu saw that when a Jew wants mitzvahs badly enough, HaKadosh Baruch Hu will create new mitzvahs to satisfy that person. That's what you see over here. And the idea is that whatever situation we might be in, whether we're patur because chas v'shalom we're an oinen, or we're patur because, Baruch Hashem, there's no tachanun for the next 2 weeks, or whether we're exempt because we're being oisik in another mitzvah, still, but there should be a certain longing or a certain nostalgia, like, if only I'd be able to do this mitzvah as well. When a Jew's main desire in life is to get close to Hashem, and we know that the way to get close to Hashem is the more mitzvahs we do, the closer we get to Hashem. So even if we're deprived of one mitzvah, if we feel bad about it, HaKadosh Baruch Hu takes tremendous nachas from that. So much so that he revolutionizes the Torah and he brings a new mitzvah that he only invented because the people were longing for it. Some of us just came from a funeral of a dear friend of ours, Menachem Friedman, Zecher Tzadik Livracha, and he was a person that really embodied this idea of chapping, of grabbing every mitzvah. I remember that about 6 months ago, he went in for third surgery to replace his valves in his heart. Literally, I think probably up until the day of the surgery, he was here every single day, Daf Yomi, either in my shir or in the Hebrew shir in the morning. But even though he knew that he was about to go into surgery, he didn't say to himself, I'm not well, I'm exempt, I'm patur. No, every single moment that he was alive and he was healthy enough to do a mitzvah, he did a mitzvah. And he never said, I'm exempt, let's enjoy the exemption. No, it was always lama nigara. Why am I exempt? If only I could do another mitzvah. If only I could learn another daf. We merited to have an amazing individual, a real Adam, a real mensch, grace the halls of the Kollel. And it was a privilege to have gotten close to him over the last 25 years. And we should all learn from him, from his life, and from over here, Lama Nigara. We should always grab and strive for another mitzvah, another mitzvah, another mitzvah. Even if we're too busy to do it, we should try to do it. If we can't do it, we should long to do it. And when Hashem sees our longing, He'll give us the siyata d'shmaya to continue doing mitzvahs and learning Torah all the days of our life.